Hi guys, we've just had the second set of balancing changes published. This is still mostly concerning Farumbra's Ascendant questline and the hunting ground, so it's mostly going to be covering that. But at the end of the video and at the end of the Tibia post, they also mentioned the places they will rebalance next week, so we'll talk a little bit about those at the end as well. I'm really excited for those, but let's take a look at the Farumbra's Ascendant stuff for now. First of all, they just have a general adjustment, mentioned that they fixed some of the missing teleport spots. Well, not so much missing, but the ones that you could still trap on. So now, hopefully, there should not be any places in Farumbra's Ascendant where you can prepare traps for people. So, good change, not much to say. Thank you very much, Tipsoft, for figuring that out. Finally, second of all, we have this finally amazing change. Basically, a shortcut to the hub. Shortcut to the hunting grounds. So basically there's a new staircase now that allows you to basically skip 90% of Fairway and just access the hub. This is a huge buff for boss cherry hunting. For people who want to complete the boss cherries, it's much quicker and safer and cheaper to now do the boss cherry. And basically it's probably also going to be a lot easier to do the quest completion for new characters on new worlds, etc. because again, it's going to be much easier to actually access the bosses. So this is a really amazing change. I'm really happy about it, but it will not actually really impact any of the hunting values. It's not really a rebalance of the hunting grounds, it's just a quality of life change. Very much welcome. Moving on, first proper change that we have, and as you all notice, like all of the changes basically that we have today are map layout changes. So they've added little corridors, little pathways to improve hunting grounds. And this is the first one. This is our Grounds of Deceit. So this is Bazir. This is the first level of Bazir with the nightmares and phantasms, vexclaws and grime leeches. And as you can see, they've basically just added this corridor joining the two sections at the north, and that does make it kind of huntable. I've got some results from my friend here on the left, which is like a 700 EK with best in slot, and it looks like it's about 4.5 KK raw, when about 1.5 KK profit per hour is manageable. Nothing earth shattering, but it does actually make it a viable respawn, if you will. Personally, I don't think it's going to be that amazing still. The main reason I don't think it's that amazing is because of the narrow corridors in some of those places. It makes it quite difficult to make the pulls, which is very annoying. So I would, for example, if they took this corridor here and just made it another room instead of a corridor, right? Just add an extra wall there, get rid of this wall and just make it a big room. This place would be, a lot better, just a bit more comfy to hunt. Like this corridor here is super annoying. Anyway, but the results are okay. It's a good change. I don't think it's going to be like some amazing huntable place now, but I think it's going to be pretty good for Nightmare and Phantasm Bestiary. Definitely you can complete those outside of rapid respawn now relatively easily hunting here. So overall, a positive change. Probably not going to be anything crazy, but if one of those monsters, for example, is boosted or during 50% EXP to demons, this is going to be a pretty reasonable B tier respawn. Moving on, the next change we have Grounds of Fire. This is Juggernaut Seal, and basically they've added this big corridor right here on the right hand side, and I went to check it out. This analyzes from my character from about 600 EK, but I didn't really have any best in slot items. It was kind of whack. It wasn't really that great, but anyway, the results are still kind of okay. Like I was doing about 3 KK raw and about 1.5 KK profit per hour, which is pretty decent. With best in slot equipment or a slightly higher level, it's going to be pretty good. I've heard that this respawn was already kind of okay for a high level paladin. Of course, high level paladin can hunt everywhere, but I think this corridor will probably make this place a lot better for the sort of high level solo paladin, not to have to backtrack. On my level for a 600 EK didn't make that much of a difference because there's just so many monsters, and I killed them so slowly that there was no real danger of backtracking anyway. But the corridor itself is nothing amazing. It just basically allows you a way to backtrack quickly. It only has about 15 monsters or so in the corridor, so it's not like that dense, but it does get you an extra pull. So anyway, also a good change. I think the main benefit of this one is it's going to be just easier to run to the boss and easier to do the quest. And it probably will make this a little bit more viable for maybe like a high level solo paladin, as mentioned. Moving on, we've had a couple of corridor changes for Grounds of Destruction. This is the Juggernaut Seal. If you can't quite tell, there's been an expansion there and an expansion there. I haven't hunted Juggernaut Seal too much, so I don't exactly know how much of a game changer this is. When I did hunt Juggernaut Seal, it was okay anyway. I don't really remember doing that much backtracking. The respawn was pretty fast, so I don't know that this is going to be something game breaking. The main problem with Jug Seal is that there's just not that much experience because of how much health the monsters have. I'm sure they're welcome changes, and they are going to make hunting here more comfortable and able to make bigger loops, and hell maybe make more comfortable loops without backtracking, and hell maybe that will be enough to make this spawn a lot better. But again, I wouldn't really expect anything crazy here. You know, maybe it'll increase the place by like 5 to 10%, but I don't think 5 or 10% improvement is enough to make this place meta. But still a welcome change. You know, still remains like a beast to C tier spawn. Moving on, we have the Grounds of Undead changes. This is the Undead Dragon Seal, and we've had a couple of extra corridors added right here and right here. And also we've had the sensitivity of the Blightwalker to ice increased, which is great. I mentioned this already in the video last week that this was necessary for the Undead Dragon sensitivity change to make any sense. I don't think this ice change to Blightwalker will really affect any other respawns than here. Maybe it will allow you to use ice in some of the prison levels where the Blightwalkers are, maybe. But I don't think it's going to change, for example, Inquisition or Pits of Inferno, because the other monsters that are still resistant to ice. But for this respawn, let's focus on this respawn. You can definitely use the ice element now. I tried this place as well as an EK, and definitely you want to be using ice. And it was fine. The corridors do add a little bit of extra looping potential, pretty much exactly what was needed to make, you know, you can have 2 hunting grounds here. One team can hunt on this -1 level or whatever it is, and the other team can hunt on this next -2 level. Although ultimately I would say there's still not quite enough density or ease of like making big pulls. So kind of similar to the previous places. Good quality of life change, makes it a little bit easier to hunt here, but ultimately the numbers probably don't quite work out, and it still remains, you know, a C or a B tier respawn. So we'll see. Maybe some sort of high level paladin again can make it work now. However, what's annoying is that the monsters do run away both under dragons and Blightwalkers, so without Exeta it's kind of annoying. But hey, we'll see. I think still a positive change. Obviously, you know, I'm not going to complain about adding extra corridors to make places more connected and easier to hunt, but the numbers just aren't that great here. For what it's worth, they should have also added a little corridor here, because there's a dead end in this big room there at the end, which kind of doesn't make sense. I think if they added this third corridor here, that would be great, but hey, maybe next time. Okay, moving on. No, not this one. Moving on, the last one, we have the Grounds of Despair. So this is Pumin. I've got a little screenshot here from a level 1700 paladin, solo paladins. Rejoice yet again, and apparently they've added teleports at the end of the levels to make it easier to loop around without having to backtrack, and apparently this increases the experience by approximately 10%, and you don't overkill anymore if you do it properly. So that's just a straight up buff to what was already a pretty good spot. I know that Pumin was alright for a lot of high level paladins, definitely for profit. So this probably just makes it a little bit better. And it looks like the experience here is somewhere around 3.3 to 3.5 KK raw, with about 3 KK profit per hour. So yeah, nothing crazy. The profit is definitely very good. And still just a free boost basically from tips off to display. So again, positive, but nothing really earth-shattering. And finally, we have the sneak peek at coming next week changes. So looking at the list of things that will be changed next week, we have Yalahart Cemetery Quarter. Judging by the respawns that they have there, I don't expect they'll change the brain death section or zombie section too much, or the southern sort of ghoul skeleton section. I'm guessing this will be mostly for the Nightmare and Grim Reaper section. I don't think they will be changing the values of Nightmares or Grim Reapers. I would be surprised. If I were to guess, I would say they will probably try to join the rooms where the Grim Reapers are somehow, instead of, you know, having to go up 2 floors and up to the Nightmare level. I think they will just try and make it a Grim Reaper hunting ground on -2. by joining them together to be able to make a big loop. And if they do that, that's actually going to be pretty decent. I think that's going to be pretty good for like a level 200 plus paladin, but we'll see. I think this is what I'm expecting. For Yalahar Sunken Quarter, I have absolutely no idea. I don't think this will be Quara. This will be changed to Quara. So again, this will have to be like a layout change to the Sunken Quarter. I don't really know how or where they would do it, but it's interesting. So this one we'll see. I was not expecting this one. This one is like totally out of the blue for me, but hey, let's see. Then we have Medusa Tower. Here I would expect that they will just add some sort of teleport at the top, because you had to always backtrack like a couple of levels. So I expect they'll add a teleport at the very top. They'll just bring you to the bottom and you can just do a nice loop, and that will be sufficient to make this place pretty good, because that is what it was missing. I don't think they'll change the numerical values of the monsters there, because it's like behemoths, serpents, spawns and hydras. Those are pretty much all over the place, so I don't think they'll be doing that. I think it will just be a teleport at the top. Okolna, this one is great to hear. Here I'm expecting numerical numbers, because frost dragons and hatchlings are pretty much constrained to Okolna, or however you pronounce it. So I would expect some rebalancing of the values for those monsters. I would expect more loot for frost dragons, and maybe a little bit more experience. I don't know. I think it feels like they yield the appropriate amount of experience. What I would like to see is a little bit of density increases, maybe some layout rebalances. Actually, I don't know how I would solve Okolnia, so I'm going to be looking forward to that one. That is a really classic space, absolutely wasted, huge area. So maybe they'll just join up, connect some of the rooms so that it's, you can make more like sort of a round loop and actually hunt there, because now it's really quite awkward to hunt there in current Tibia if you're not like single target hunting. Next we have the Bunsian, however you pronounce it, lions. So this is basically the lion archers and whatever, the lion quest line. This one's interesting to see as well. I'm kind of not expecting them to change the area around Droom where the despawn mechanics are. I'm expecting them to change the other area, which is basically dead at the moment, where they sort of fight each other, and maybe make some connections to make it a bigger loop viable, something like that. Maybe they'll change the numbers a little bit, tweak them, but I don't think that's going to be the main change. I think like sort of layout changes again will be the main change here. Exciting to see that one. And the very last one is Monster Graveyard. So this is a Primal Ordeal section. I don't know much about that one. I'm guessing this is probably the least hunted one, or for some reason, so they will maybe make some numerical changes there. Maybe they'll make some mechanical changes. We'll see. Anyway, definitely very exciting stuff. Changes today, welcome, but probably not for game breaking. Let's wait and see what they have next week. Hopefully something interesting. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, whether these changes are living up to your expectations, what you're expecting from these places next week, and I'll make a new video next week after we have some of those changes as well. So thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.